All right, welcome back to the channel. You can see that I've shot most of these brass up, these Nosler brass. Got a few left that I want to shoot up, and so I've loaded them up today, and we're going to go out to the range here in a minute and shoot these up. But I basically just want to use the rest of these brass, get some more data today, which I'm going to go over the data with you when I get back from the range, kind of tell you what I've learned so far about the 7 PRC. And then all the brass will be once fired. I can reload them with a particular shoulder bump and a neck tension, kind of get them set up for the second firing, which I'll be doing the Hornady 160 grain CX on the next video. And so I want to get some more data today. I have 3 of these HHTs left from Hammer. This was the last 3 of this sample pack that I bought. I got some pretty good velocities on my first video in this series, but I believe I was a little bit shy on H1000. So I'm going to bump up the H1000, 3 different load charges, and see if I can get a little bit better velocity with H1000. And then we're going to shoot some groups today of these 160 tip strikes. So these are the same load charges that I shot a 3-shot group of last time, but I'm going to shoot 5-shot groups today, except for in one case I'm going to shoot 4 because that's all I got left. So I'm kind of just going to get some more info on groups, see if, the group size stays close to what it was, see if the SD range stays close to what it was. But let's go ahead and go out to the range, and then I'm going to come back here and kind of go over some of the numbers with you. All right, so hey, got up to 3,000 feet per second there with the H1000. That's kind of what I was hoping for, something like that. The last one did have a slight bit of bolt lift issues, and you could definitely tell the primer was flattened a little bit more than the other ones, but not tremendously so, like not really bad, but it was enough to be noticeable. And so all 3 of those were an entire grain jump, bam, 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 more than the last time. And so I probably need to back up a half grain and kind of go in between those last 2 and see what it does. It's also right around 70 degrees, so it's the same temperature as it was the last time. Very sunny out, so about the same conditions as last time. So overall, I feel pretty good about that. I definitely need to back up another half grain from that last load, but I feel like there's real potential there, and pretty happy with that velocity. Definitely better than the last time. Definitely closed the gap there. I definitely last time didn't quite have enough of the H1000. The data I was going off of was a little bit low. So definitely confirmed that you can get similar velocities with H1000. I'm gonna let the barrel cool for a second, and I'm gonna try to shoot groups. I am at a different range today, and I don't have the greatest rest. I'm gonna have to buy something different to use out here, but I'm gonna try to make this happen. Shoot some groups with the 160s, and let's do that now. All right, so that was a 4-shot group simply because I don't have any more. I'm shooting all the rest of this first lot. And so if I'd have had one more that hadn't been shot, I would have done a 5-shot group, but it is what it is. Standard deviation on those 4 was 12.2. Standard deviation on the 3, which are the same exact load weights and charge and everything, was 11.1, I think. So very consistent SD. The velocity was about the same, actually just a slight bit higher. I think it was like a 30-75 average last time, and this time it was like a 30-90 average. Once again though, pretty close, pretty consistent. If I recall, the group last time was around 1 inch, and the first 3 I'd noticed were all pretty close together. I'm not sure about the 4th one. I kind of like to be surprised. Oh, I can tell it's a bad one. Let's look at the group. All right, so I screwed up this group. First 3 were all right there. 1, 2, 3. That was the 4th one right there. And so I think I rushed it. I probably should have let it cool down some. I think the barrel was pretty hot. Sounds like a pretty good excuse, doesn't it? But I can tell you that that was the first 3. And so it had about a, 3/4 inch group going on, and then that one shot it pretty far off once it got hot. But anyway, so last time when I shot the H1000 and the H4831, I had some people tell me you can get more velocity. In fact, you were a little conservative on your load. So I 100% agree, and that's something I might do going forward. But today I honestly was just looking for consistency from last time, just kind of verifying the groups from last time. So I was more concerned with whether I'd get the similar velocity numbers, the similar SD, and the similar accuracy. And so last time I got a SD of 16, and this one was 8, an SD of 8. That's with a 5-shot group. That's really good. And the velocity is not terrible. I mean, it could be better, but 29-ish, you know, with a SD under 10, pretty happy with that. Now, if you recall in the last video, the best group, it was like a 1/2-inch group, was the H1000. So let's go down here and see if this group is good again. Oh yeah, so I can tell you the first 3 were right in here. That was the 4th one, and then the 5th one was back right in there. So, you know, that's gonna make it about a minute of angle group, maybe a minute and a quarter angle. Those are all pretty close together, so pretty happy. I really like the accuracy and consistency of this H1000 load. All right, so I got about the same velocity on this 5-shot group as I did the 3-shot group last time. If you remember last time, the best SD was with this group. It was around 6. And this one was 7 today. So wow, really happy with that. So I'm gonna come down here and look at the group. Unfortunately, I don't think it hit the target except for 1 bullet, but we're gonna look at it. All right, that's a 5-shot group right there. No, I'm kidding. 2 hit the paper, 1 hit there, and I believe 2 hit down here. So that's probably 1.5-inch group. Let's go back to the house and kind of look at the overall numbers of what I've learned so far about the 7 PRC. By the way, I didn't really have the greatest setup today. I didn't have a rear bag, which I need to get one. So I used the backfire case for the Garmin chronograph and some paper towels. And then I just had bipod up there, but hey. All right, we're back here at the house. You can see I've shot these 50 in the past 3 videos. So I'll be reloading them and starting fresh with the CXs on the next video. But I want to take a look at some of these numbers. So first of all, I only had 15 HHT bullets, just bought a sample pack. There is the highest velocity that I got without pressure from all 4 powders. That's updated with today's numbers from H1000. Basically, it's the same, except for N570 can eke out just a little bit more. But you're going to get very similar velocities with all of these. It's really just going to come down to what kind of powder do you want to use, what kind of powder do you have, and then it just depends on whether you want the most efficient powder possible, so the least amount of grains to get you that velocity, or do you want the best case fill? And so that's really what it's going to come down to. Overall, I think those numbers are pretty good. You know, the 175 ELDX going 3,000 was kind of what the box said, and then when they changed powders, they weren't getting that. So this wasn't 175, it was only 170. But I can definitely get around 3,000 feet per second with multiple powders. So overall, pretty happy with that. All right, so with the 160 tip strikes, I have a lot more information here. Let's start out with the grand powder. I can get around 3059 without pressure. That's about the highest I could get. I had a 3-shot group of average 3073 with an SD of 11.3 on my first video with these bullets. Today I had a 4-shot group, 3092, and an SD around the same. And then the group, like I already showed you, had 3 all really close together and then 1 flyer. And I believe that was from an overheated barrel, but you got to count it. So group overall didn't end up being good, but those first 3 were all really close together. On H1000, 2919 is the highest. However, I think you could get the same velocity. I think you could add more powder and end up getting around 3050, the same as the Grand. So I don't believe I've even got close to max out, nor did I ever have any pressure at all. But the 3-shot group that I shot the other day had an average velocity of 2906, an SD of 16.6, but had that really, really good 3-shot group. Today, a 5-shot group averaged 2912, about the same. SD of 8.7. That's fantastic with a 5-shot group. And then that was the group. 4 all there piled in together and 1 kind of flyer. But the group's probably 1.5 inches total, with 4 all there within 3/4 of an inch or so. So combine that with the 3-shot group that I shot the last time, it's the same charge weight. That tends to be the most accurate so far is H1000. H4831, 2937. Here's another one where I never reached any pressure, and I'm pretty confident that I could get it around the same velocity, 3050 or so. The 3-shot group the other day had the best SD of all, 6.9, with an average of 2905. The 5-shot group today had an SD of 7.2. and an average of 2908. So this is by far the most consistent as far as SD and velocity. Now, if you want to average out both days, the Grand is about 3083 with an 11.8 SD. The H1000 is around 2909 with an average SD of about 12.7. And the H4831 shortcut is around 2907 feet per second with an SD of 7.1. Oh, and the group on the 4831 was actually probably the worst group of the day. 2 were there pretty close, but the other 3 was like here, here, and here. So probably like 1.5 inches, maybe even close to 2-inch group. But I really need to redo that and get them all on paper to verify that I was for sure seeing what I thought were bullet holes. I would love to know what you guys think. I feel like there's tremendous potential in any one of these powders. I think the 160 tip strike likes all 3. The winner on consistency is going to be the 4831. I just continually get phenomenal SDs. And the H1000 just seems to have tremendous accuracy in tight groups. But the Grand groups are not terrible. They're pretty good. The SDs are not terrible. They're pretty good. And it does have the highest velocity. So I'm going to take all this information that I have now on 160 grain and 170 grain bullets in 7 PRC, and I'm going to apply them to the 160 grain CX, which I'll be shooting next time. I understand it's a monolithic bullet and the tip strikes were not, so it's not exactly apples to apples, but I think I got some valuable information, and I'm excited to shoot that bullet. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you liked it. Share it if you think it's worth sharing. And until next time, guys, take care.